everybody. It's me, Amy, from Amy Jane's Creations. I'm coming to you on the 2nd of October. That's when I'm filming this. Maybe it'll get uploaded tonight, maybe tomorrow. And I'm here to show you everything I worked on in September. Let's get started, shall we? Except first, I do need to show my shirt. And on the back it says, "And life is a nightmare." On this Tuesday, my husband and I went to go see Simple Plan in Zurich. We have been fans for a very long time. But we became fans after their big heyday, so they haven't toured in Switzerland that close by since we've liked them. We watched a documentary about them on Netflix, and they were actually the opener for another band called Offspring, which apparently my kids all know who that was. I did not. We didn't recognize any of their songs, so we went for the opening show, the opener, and then we left. But it was like an hour long. They played for an hour long, so we feel like we were at a concert. It was great. It was super awesome. Very fun. But anyway, so this is my shirt that I got as a souvenir for that. Okay, now, what have I done this month? Well, let's start with the big famous full coverage, shall we? Oh, what just fell? Oh, my pen. Okay. This is Van Gogh Never Met the Fellowship by Unconventional X-Stitch. I am stitching this on 18 count Aida, pre-gridded, 2 over 1 block, 1 square. And I worked way more. I am trying to color complete all the 939. And I worked a ton. Let's see here if I can. I worked a ton in this section right here. I added more down here, a bunch here, and I completed one more figure on the thing. I'm at 34.42%, and I'm feeling good. I have until end of December next year to get this finished. But if I don't get it finished by then, the world's not going to end, right? I'm trying to take the pressure off and just let myself enjoy it and be happy for all the progress I get. So that is that. I did set it aside I worked on it for probably a good 7 days this month, because I had 3 new starts. And not only were they new starts, they were finishes. So what is that? Safs? Yeah. So we'll go into those. So this one is by, I didn't bring anything to hold up behind this. Hold on, I've got a bag right here. This is by Puntini, and it's stitching. I think when I think of stitching, something like that. Now, I completely changed all the colors on this. I used what I had. I used my favorite colors of the teals and purples, and just a little bit of yellow and a little bit of a pink. I used a lot of Color Fever floss from Francie, and I used some French indie dyers, that floss that I bought in Kutzenhausen, and some Karen water lilies that we got super cheap, also at Kutzenhausen in France. And that is completely done, and it is going in my stitchy box, my converted jewelry box that I got from my friend Jackie. It's going to be part of the decoration on that. And I had kitted it up a while ago, and it was just sitting there, and I went, this is not that big. I want to have it done. I love it. Just do it. And so I did. And of course it needs to be washed and ironed, but details, schmeetails. All right. Then, okay, I normally my whole life, I have been a seasonal stitcher, meaning, oh, it's getting to be Halloween. I want a new Halloween decoration. And also I was monogamous before I started doing Flosstubes. So I'd get out one big Halloween project, work on it all the time until it was done. And then say by the time it was done, it was Christmas. So then I'd be like, oh, I feel like a Christmas project. But they were always bigger projects, and I worked on them monogamously. Well, this year, I don't know what was going on. It was September, which is the beginning of fall. But I was cleaning up all my summer decorations, and I was like, I have a lot of like Canada theme and U.S. Independence Day and Canada Day because it's the first, and 1. August, Switzerland's birthday, but I don't have very many just summer decorations. So I went through all my patterns, and these are designed by Erica Michaels for Rainbow Galleries. They are free on their website. This one is from 2003 or 4. They're old, okay? But they're still on their blog if you can find them. And they're like for the August one, or I think August, yeah. Anyway, here they are. I started them and finished both of them. I used different colors. I just grabbed whatever I had because I don't have Rainbow Gallery floss. I had some DMC overdyes, and yeah. And I think this one could also be, no, this is a DMC one. And this is on, I want to say it's 32 count because it's pretty big. 32 count something linen from Zweigart. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be turning them into pillows. But I don't feel any rush because I finished them in September. Like, summer's a way off. But I just had the itch to stitch them, and so I did. And now they're done. And I don't need to, don't feel bad that I don't have enough summer decorations. All right. But I did stick to my plan of working on finishing some of my Christmas ornaments that I started in Christmas in July. And so this month in September, I also got 2 more stockings done. They're so cute and little. Don't you just love them? And again, I'm kind of, like, this was a Bucilla kit. I got the pattern was on the freebie table at Stitch West in 2023 when I went, which was magical and a once in a lifetime thing. And so I had to, and it was like, it had numbers and sort of like generic, like red, dark red or something, as the name of the floss. So I looked up, there was somebody on eBay, Etsy, something like that, selling one of the kits. And so it had, because I don't have the cover page or anything, literally just the black and white patterns. And so I went on there and was like, oh, okay, this is what they really look like. So I need a red, I need a darker red, I need 2 colors of green, I need some gold. And so I just kind of went through my floss and picked out what I liked for my colors. And I'm using some blending filament for little pops of glittery. I'm putting in beads every once in a while, like this one. This one has no beads, but this one does. Some little tiny petite beads that are leftovers from a Mill Hill Santa, a snowman. And it's on a 32 count, might even be 36 count. I don't know. Opalescent, 2/2. So there's 2 more of those done. So those were my starts. Well, those were my finishes, and then my start and finishes. I had one more start. I just started it last night. Which better have my candy. I kitted up this one and another one, a fall one from Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. Again, because it's season, and I'm kind of feeling that urge. It's a small, so I can get it done without too much hassle. It's all called for Cosmo Floss, which I don't have, so I changed it to all DMC, the DMC conversion. And this is a little piece of light orange. I had something else picked out at first that I had self-dyed. It was this fabric with like blotches of like a dark gray and purple, and it looked really cool and would be very fun for like a monochromatic Halloween, like if all black. But as I was looking at all the colored floss, it was going to be too busy. So I switched it out to just the plain pale orange color, and I'm going to do that. And I'll just work on that in the evenings here and there as I feel like it all throughout the month of October. And this will give me that Halloween-y fix I need, while I also continue to work on my giant full coverage, because I have to work on that regularly. I would like to work on that at a regular pace to make sure I'm not panicking at the end, or that I can be like, oh, in 2 weeks I can get this done past when I've wanted to get it to you, but not like 2 years past. I don't want to be one of those. So yeah, I'll just work on this here and there throughout October. Just scratch that itch. The other whip that I worked on that's a regular whip is my, what do they call it? Leap year whip, where you work on it every day. It's supposed to be on the 29th, but I work on it on the 25th for my brother. And so I did that again this month. And what I chose to concentrate on this time was I finished these, let me show you, those beautiful flowers and the basket. And then I did like literally maybe 4 or 5 stitches on the border. But that was it. It was a busy day. But I'm happy with the basket. The basket is not hard. It's all one color for the most part, but you got to pay attention. I messed up a couple times and was able to catch it really quick. But yeah, it has to be right or it won't line up. So I worked on that. And then I had another whip that I continued to work on was my Prairie Schooler Santa. This is the 2007 Santa. I started this at the very end. No, that's not true. In August, I started this a little bit because I finished up the other Prairie Schooler I was working on during Christmas in July. But I have a few others that I want to get done. And so I started on this one in August, and I worked more on it. I worked like 3 days on it, I think in September. It's very close to a finish. But it will probably need another, realistically, couple of days, because there's still quite a bit of this coat to work on. But that's coming along nicely, and these are on 40 count something from Zweigart. I wanted them slightly smaller than the called for 18 Davos. So that is that. What else did I work on this month? Oh, my chatelaine. So my friend Martina and I, the German stitcher, she has an English Flosstube, but she lives in Germany. She and I started on August 1st our chatelaines. And then my friend Shauna, hi Shauna, she is joining us. Now, Martina and I, we are working on our first chatelaines. Shauna is a chatelaine professional. She's made a couple of them. Does she have them hanging in her house? No. She gave a chatelaine away as a gift. Now, she told me, I believe her. She reassured me. The person she gave it to was chatelaine worthy. But still. So anyway, she wants another one, so she joined in with us. I am working on the one I chose. We're all doing different ones, but they're all chatelaines. The one I chose is Polar Lights. Yeah. Polar Lights, and I have none of the called for colors. They're all Weeks Dye Works. The pattern is so old that I'm positive none of the colors match up with what was originally chosen. And I picked this one because of the colors that were originally used. So I have a few backups from Francie that I think might work, but I'm going to the States in December, and I'm going to be able to go to Primrose Cottage's new actual physical store, and they have a giant wall of weeks. So I'm planning to go there and like look at all the colors and compare and choose which ones I want. But for now, on the first of every month, we just work on what we have. And I have the roundless border. It's supposed to be called Marina, but it's very, very close to 939. And so that is what I'm using for this border, especially because it's just a border. Like, it's one thin line. It's not anything fancy. It doesn't need to be in an over-dyed floss. So I worked on that for a little bit as well. And this is on fabric. It is 32 count, and it's fabric I dyed myself. So it started out as a vintage smoky, no, it's vintage cloud. It's the blue version of vintage country vintage mocha, vintage country mocha, whatever that's called, from Zweigart. It's the blue version, right? They have a gray one, and they have a brown one, and a blue one, and it's the blue one. And I put it in a little bit. I dipped that in a blue dye with a splash of black to get it just a tinge darker, but not super dark, to make sure the lighter colored blues and white that's in this really pop. And I'm very pleased with how it turned out. And yes, my border is going to be not very big, and that is fine. If I end up lacing this, which I probably will because it will be heavy from all the beading that is going on it, I have no problem sewing cheap cotton fabric around the outside and using that to really pull tight and lace. But I didn't want to use up all my fabric. So I just cut those borders nice and tight. Okay, I have one extra big project that I worked on this month. I can't speak English. And that is my daughter's Hello Kitty quilt. It is too big to try to show you in this. It is not quilted yet because she had trouble deciding what kind of fabric. There's one main fabric panel that's going in the back, but then it needed some borders, and she couldn't decide. There was 4 different fabrics we were looking at that would have looked good and worked, and so it took her a couple of days to decide. But she's decided that, so I'll be able to sew the back, and then we can baste everything together. But the top is completely done with all the borders, and it looks so cute. She loves it. I love it. It's super. It came out with what my vision in my head, and so I'm super happy with that. And so I will insert a picture here so you can see that. How I did this was, and I'm just going to talk while I leave up this picture. I went on Google and looked for Hello Kitty free coloring pages, printed those out, made sure they were all roughly the same size, although you can tell some of them are not quite, but they were all roughly the same. Then I traced with the Heat and Bond light over each individual section of the picture. Cut those all out, picked all the different fabrics that I was going to use, ironed it onto the back, cut those, and you kind of cut around it with a little bit of a border. So then you cut it out exact when you've got that Heat and Bond stuck onto the proper fabric. And then ironed them on to the background big piece of pink fabric. But you couldn't do it on all at once because you had to layer it. Because sometimes when you were going around, it worked best if you left, like they just had to go in the right order, basically is what I'm trying to say. You couldn't put the feet on after you'd done the dress because the feet needed to be under the dress. You know what I'm saying? So you had to put the feet on, sew around that with a tight zigzag stitch, then iron on the dress, and then sew around that. So that's what I did. So that took quite a while. And then it needed a top and a bottom because the inner part with all the Hello Kitties was square. But it's to be for her bed, to keep her warm. And so it needed to be longer. And so I hemmed and hawed about what to do. And then I just decided, you know what? Super cute Hello Kitty looking cartoonish flowers using a lot of the same fabrics that were in the quilt itself to kind of tie it together. That's what I ended up doing. And then the black around the edge to kind of be a black frame, just like all the Hello Kitties and the flowers have that black stitching around them to give it that coloring book look. And then the binding will just be not a polka dot black, but just a straight black. Although, no, I don't have enough of the polka dot black to do the binding, so I'll just do a straight black. Yeah, so that will get basted and quilted very soon, but she's very happy to see I'm making progress on it. And that is what I worked on this September. Other news, family news. Everybody's alive and nobody's in jail, so we're doing great. That's our basis. That's our measuring tool. Yes, our standards. Like I said, my husband and I went to that concert. I'm going in October. It's in October now. So in 3 weeks, I get to go up to Zindelfingen to the Zweigart meeting there. I'm going up Thursday afternoon to hang out with whoever comes from the north. Thursday night at the hotel, driving up with my friend Mariana. I went with Mariana to a quilt show that was in Bern. Oh, wow. That was really beautiful. That was lovely. And it was perfect because Marianne is very, she cares about stuff deeply, but she's just like a soothing, soothing person. And very, sympathisch. What is that word? We kind of click. So that was very nice because the big news is, when I say we're all alive, I mean that thankfully we're all alive. So my daughter goes to UVU, Utah Valley University, which most people outside of Utah had never heard before. But now, because this guy got himself shot there, and yes, I use that term that way, everybody knows about UVU. I feel bad for his kids that had to witness it. I think that's horrible. I feel horrible for all the students that were there and witnessed that kind of violence. But he himself said that it was worth it to lose a few people a year to make sure Americans could keep their guns. So I feel like he died for his cause, so we don't need to feel sad for him. But I am very upset at the shooter as well, because one, you don't make a bad problem better by creating it work, pouring oil on it. But all those kids, the shooter knew he was just taking out Charlie Kirk. But everybody else, all those young students who were there, they didn't know that. They thought they were going to be next. 3,000 kids. And I'm sorry, I'm 55. So to me, they were kids. My kid was one of them. She was inside working, but working at the Wendy's, and they were prepping a lot of food because there were so many people on campus. They knew that there was going to be a lot of people afterwards coming to eat. So they were getting ready for that. And all of a sudden, this swarm of kids comes running past them, screaming, "There's a shooting, there's a shooting." So my daughter and her coworkers literally dropped everything. They left the grill on, they left the oil fryers on, and just booked it. Just ran. And all she had on her was she had her phone in her back pocket and her work apron, okay? And her clothes that she wore. That was it. And she just started running. And she grabs her phone and she sends a text on our family WhatsApp chat group and says, "There's a shooting. I love you all." But because she was typing while she was running, there was a lot of typos. And so it didn't say "there's a shooting." It said "there's a shooting." And we weren't sure. And so we didn't react at first because we're like, what is this? And I was like, is she saying there's a shooting? And so I immediately called her. And at first we were trying to video call and it kept cutting out because everybody, all those kids were calling their parents, I'm sure. And so we switched to just regular voice call, and that the cell phone grid was able to support. And so I just talked to her without video while she ran for her life, literally expecting a bullet in her back any second. Her and her co-workers got separated from each other because it was a literal mass of people. She ended up across the freeway. There's like a bridge underneath, or a bridge that went over. They ran over the bridge, and she made it, on the other side of the freeway, and and to the train station. And she was like, okay. The whole time I'm on the phone with her, she's like, I think I'm safe now. And she was, but she was also now alone because she had not been paying attention. She just ran. She got in contact with her coworkers, but they were on a different side, so they couldn't come to get her because now the campus is shut down. Here's the other problem. My poor daughter, her apartment keys and her wallet are in her bag that she left in the locker at work. She cannot get on campus now to get that. The police came very quickly, locked down the campus really quickly, which I'm impressed with. But her stuff was on campus. Her apartment building you can get to from campus, meaning there is a way to enter the apartment building without leaving campus. So they blocked that entrance. Everybody who worked in the campus, in her apartment, in the office, left because they were like, the shooter could get to us, we're out of here. Her one roommate, because she only has one roommate, was at home at the time, heard of the shooting, locked up the apartment, got in her car, and drove to her parents that live a few hours away. So Sarah had no keys to get into her apartment, no office person to ask to let her in, and no roommate to ask to let her in. So she was stranded outside with no wallet, so she couldn't pay for a hotel, she couldn't buy new clothes, stuck outside with her phone and her work apron. That's what she had on her. So she called her aunt, my sister-in-law, who lives in the next town over. This woman, she's a professor at college at a different university. She has 5 children. Okay, 2 are married, but still, she's got lots going on. Her kids are very involved in stuff. She's working. She dropped everything and came and picked up my daughter and took her home to their house. I'm just so grateful. And let her stay there for the next 2 days. Now, they gave her clothes to sleep in, but every morning she had to just get up and get dressed in the same clothes she was wearing at work. She had no money. There was a mall close by. She could not buy anything. She had no money. Finally, after a couple of days, they opened up campus. Well, you couldn't go on campus, but you could send a message to they were coordinating some sort of pickup thing, and police escort would go with a couple of designated people and went through all the lockers and all the everything and picked up people's stuff. And so she was able to finally, after 2 days, to pick up her bag and have her keys and get into her apartment. And she says when Aunt Christy drove her to the campus and she got out of the car to go get her bag, she's like, Mom, I stepped on campus and my legs started getting super shaky and I was so scared. All those feelings that I had kept coming back, even though I know I'm fine, all that feeling I had just came back and overwhelmed me, and I had to just stand there for a few seconds and just kind of concentrate on taking breaths. Traumatic. And she wasn't even outside when the shot happened. She was inside, and it was that traumatic for her. All those other kids just breaks my heart. One of her coworkers' boyfriends was standing. He was getting ready to debate, and waiting in line for the microphone. So he was super close. He got some of his blood, the guy's blood on him. And I said, oh, wow. He gonna need therapy for his therapy. Yikers. And this is how traumatic this was for like young adults. I cannot imagine the poor trauma of all these elementary school and junior high and high school kids. America, you need to do something. And I'm sorry, but like, the Second Amendment might need to go away for a while because y'all are not responsible enough to handle your guns. Like, there needs to be... everybody has guns here in Switzerland. A lot of people have guns. You know what you can't get? Ammunition. I'm sorry I'm going on a soapbox, and I'm sorry if politically that bothers you, but something's got to give. Something's got to give. On that day when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, there was another shooting in Colorado at a school on the same day. And now, since then, I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. A guy drove his truck into the church and started shooting people. And this is not the first church, not the first of our church, but other churches have been, that Baptist church, like, set on fire, shootings. Y'all are broken. I'm sorry. It's not working anymore. Demand change. You can't put your head in the sand and say thoughts and prayers are going to fix it. Because, nope. Just more people are going to keep dying. And the trauma. The ones who die are, I'm sorry, are the ones who got off easy. These poor people who are witness to all of that and have to live with that trauma and the survivor's guilt. It's... Yeah. So that's what's going on in our life, is dealing with that. And that's why I say, hey, we're fine. We're all alive and nobody's in jail. Yeah. Looking forward to the stitching retreat in October. That's going to be super fun. And yeah. Oh, I don't know why I got onto that. That happened the day before. So spending that day with Marianne in Bern, looking at all those beautiful quilts, was exactly what my little soul needed. I had been up most of the night talking to Sarah, trying to calm her down, crying, worrying about it with her. And so I almost canceled, but I went, and I'm so glad I did. Looking at those beautiful creations in that beautiful setting was exactly what I needed. So that was a highlight in September for sure. I'm so grateful for my stitchy friends, and I'm really sorry if I've offended you, but it's horrible as an American who is seeing everything from a little bit further back, how you guys are hurting each other. It's so sad. It's so sad. It's 2025. You think we would have figured out a better way to resolve our differences of opinion and conflicts. But some people have the opinion that other people's lives have no value. And that requires a little more intervention to fix than just, well, I guess we just have to agree to disagree. I love that quote. We can agree to disagree until you think that I'm not you know the quote I'm talking about. I'm not going to look it up, but it's a cross stitch pattern from Rebel Stitcher, and I've loved seeing everybody working on that, because it's not that we need to be violent with each other, but we have to make a vocal stand and call out injustice when we see it, and loudly, and do not stop until it does. Okay, so that was my soapbox rambling. Yes, my plans are to keep going forward with whatever, keep on working on some Christmas stuff, working on my full coverage, and working on that little frosted pumpkin Halloween thing here and there during the month of October. I guess that is it. I will talk to you again next month. Bye!